Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies.
Why did this happen? They won't go to the major news media, our friends and colleagues, are not going to go deep and find out exactly what it is. It's a symptom of something that's very wrong and has been very wrong for quite some time. But they won't portray it that way. I say they portray it, oh, he was a madman. He was crazy. He had a manifesto. No, he had enough. And when enough people have enough, this is what happens. Blood is spilled. It's unfortunate. Man, it happens.
Before Jack, look, I have been trying to figure out how to say that in a manner that doesn't justify people going out and doing those kinds of things. But I think you nailed it, brother. Nailed it.
I don't think we should go out and do these sort of things, but these kind of things are going to happen when these companies conduct themselves in the way that they do. But, it's kind of like blaming the victim for the crime. Well, he was pushed into it somehow. We don't know how yet. But we have a sneaking suspicion that somehow, somewhere, some claim was denied or a lot of claims were denied. Somebody may have died. Someone very close to him, maybe his wife or child. And this is how he handled it.
It's interesting because I want to tag on to what you just said with something that Brian said when he called in yesterday. Remember, he accused me, not both of you, but he accused me of not liking America because I complain about the system. These are the kinds of things. We don't know exactly what happened, but we know that what these insurance companies do to people, and we know that it's inhumane what they do.
And we know the result of what happened. The result of what happened is the man is dead.
Yes.
Bonuses are going to bring him back.
Right.
But we need to know why.
Exactly.
I think we know why. But then again, okay, well, that's I'm going to contemplate on that for a while. Jack, he has a page of wisdom, and we've already got a caller here, so let me go grab that.
All right. Yeah. Brother Jack.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother. How you doing this morning?
All right. I happen to be on the same wavelength as y'all this morning, so I'm going to go. This is since Medicare Advantage is the Medicare sign up is, I think it's over tomorrow.
Yes.
So I think it's really important to expose the scam that is Medicare Advantage, blow this issue up to the citizens and bring lawfare against the insurance companies that profit off of people's misery as they deny their patients' need for treatment. There is one major problem with bringing a lawsuit against the take advantage of you insurance companies. The Supreme Court of the United States has been corrupted by Citizens United, which gave corporate interests their priority. And the first thing that must be done is balance the Supreme Court, or the citizens are dead in the water, with a Supreme Court that will choose corporate profit over the well-being of its citizens. Bringing down Medicare Advantage would be a good start at exposing the corporate abuses of citizen patients by the healthcare industrial complex.
Brother, you nailed it. You nailed it. And since, let me first say today's subject is Jayapal and Sanders school Musk on healthcare and Europeans' thoughts about America's Trump sin. But since Jack brought up an important thing, the important thing that the deadline for signing up for Medicare Advantage is the 7th. And there are so many people that are being hoodwinked into changing the Medicare, this traditional Medicare that they have, to Medicare Advantage because they see the overall cost, the immediate monthly cost to them drop sometimes if they take Medicare Advantage, not realizing what's going on. Well, yesterday I wrote a paper on Medicare Advantage where I pointed out that every time you sign up for Medicare Advantage, that insurance company gets $12,000. So whenever you go ahead and sign that insurance, and I call them crooked because they are selling something that is making you, not good for you. Whenever they make that sale, that there's $12,000 that insurance company is sure to receive, and there are additional benefits they get if they code your illnesses right, etc. But also, that immediate person that's selling you get a few thousands as well. And, so when they take you out to breakfast and when they take you out to dinner, you notice they'll take 10, 12, 15 of you to dinner or whatever, that insurance agent. And some of you will sign up. He's got himself or herself a windfall at your expense going forward. Because many times when you find out that the Medicare Advantage you bought not only is private insurance, not government-based insurance, but you can't easily get back to government insurance because at that point you can't afford the Medigap that pays the 20% from Medicare. They've already screwed your life. But let me tell you what hurt me the most yesterday after going through a lot of reading. Our brother, Tom Hartman, who, has the Tom Hartman show, he wrote a paper as well. And he posted that paper on Substack. And, those of us doing this kind of work, we are trying to inform people about, the things that, many people don't have the time to research on their own. So Tom Hartman pointed out all the bad things that Medicare Advantage represents. And then there are a bunch of these people. And remember, Medicare Advantage is a private system. The purpose of Medicare Advantage isn't to cure you or to give you health care. That is just a side benefit. These investment companies create these insurance companies to make a buck on whatever they sell, whether it be oranges, whether it be cars, whatever. They are there to make a buck. And I don't have a problem making a buck. But making a profit on your health is an issue because your health is secondary to the profit. And these are the things that Tom Hartman tried to explain in his paper. And it sickened me to watch our false sense of individualism, our false sense of what's right just for us and not for us, the individual, and not us, the collective, all of us. I saw too many stories of older folks going and saying, well, I love my Medicare Advantage. When I had Medicare alone, I had to get a supplementary from dental and hearing and etc. While I pay less and I get all of that with Medicare Advantage. And that's all that they see, that their upfront costs is less. They don't see that they may have deductibles. They don't see that the medication that they may need, that doctor prefers for them, is denied by the insurance company. And by the way, denied by the insurance company doesn't mean you first ask the insurance companies. In my paper, I wrote that 7.4% of all pre-authorizations are denied. And that's a high number, but it's less than the 20% I had spoken about in the video that I did. But the reality is doctors know what pre-authorization is going to do. So instead of prescribing you medicine A, they may prescribe you medicine B because they know it won't go through pre-authorization. So that pre-authorization number looks lower than it really is. Because again, the doctors know, well, I can't give them that because that darn insurance company is not going to approve this. So there's a lot of negative things happening. But the way we are such suckers, and I say that with respect, and I say that though because the insurance companies know that they put pretty commercials on with smiling people and smiling agents, and we buy it up. We buy the production up that, my God, these companies care about us. They're giving us a good product. No company who sells you insurance for healthcare can possibly give you a good product or give you a better product than your government can give you. And the reason why is whatever money they spend is less money than they got for that service. The government provides much more efficient services for all of us in healthcare than a private company can, because they don't have. Remember, you see all those advertising that you see on TV, one after the other. Those are very expensive ads that you see for Medicare Advantage on TV. Those ads are expensive, and you get it on TV, on radio, in your mail. They spend billions of dollars trying to get you to sign up for Medicare Advantage. Shouldn't that tell you something? Shouldn't that tell you that if they're paying all that money to get you into private insurance, how much of a ripoff it is? Because they are paying for advertising. They're paying their executives millions of dollars a year. They're paying the insurance salesperson who gets you into that cabal. They are paying that insurance companies thousands of dollars for each person they bring in. Doesn't that tell you that that is money that they are not going to put into your healthcare, because they must make a profit for their shareholders? They must make their bonuses and all of that. Math is absolute. 1 + 1 will always equal to 2. 10 - 5 will always equal to 5. 10 - 4 will always equal to 6. And if they're spending all that money in advertising, that's money they're not going to spend on you. And the government doesn't have to spend a penny in advertising, which means all that money goes to you. Our problem in healthcare is not that we can't afford it, or it's not that it's expensive. It's that it's inefficient because the private sector is inefficient in handling healthcare. Because healthcare is not like buying a car where you can go into a lot and say, choice number 1, choice number 2, choice number 3, choice number 4. Healthcare is, if you have cancer, you need to get it out. If you have some sort of a disease, you have to rid yourself of said disease. It's not like anything else. And everybody who says, I love my Medicare Advantage because it is good for you in that particular instant, stops you from critically thinking. One of the things we have to do as a society is critically think. Because something is good today doesn't mean it is good for you. When you drink, have you ever got antifreeze on your hands and just got a whiff and taste on it? It tastes good. Antifreeze is sugary, and you just put a tab on your tongue and it's sweet. It's good. But will you drink antifreeze? Will you have a lot of antifreeze? No. And that's the problem with Medicare Advantage. It tastes sweet in the beginning, but it'll kill you. Now, a lot of people are already on it, and people would say, well, what are we to do? Well, instead of going online and telling people how good your particular Medicare Advantage is, help all of us trying to make a system that works for everybody. We have to critically think that it could be us. It could be the individual who, when we get a particular illness, that Medicare Advantage company says, no, We have to be our brothers and sisters' keeper. We have to be not only for what's good for us at that instant in time, we have to be what's good for all of us permanently. And Medicare Advantage is the biggest scam there is. And it's something that we must rid ourselves of. But let me tell you better. 50% of Americans are now on Medicare Advantage, or probably a little north of 50%. If we were to rid ourselves of Medicare Advantage, we could make a better Medicare, and that better Medicare would pay the 20% that it doesn't pay right now. After I handle the calls, I want to tell you something about some numbers. But before, people, I mean, I know for a lot of seniors, saving a few dollars feels good. Getting a bit groceries purchased for you makes you feel like you're getting something. You're not. That groceries that they buy for you, all the taxpayers that are paying into Medicare are paying that bill. That bill, that insurance company gets your groceries or reduce XYZ. All the people paying into Medicare are the ones paying that bill. And later on, when you need the best care, that Medicare Advantage will not be there for you because, again, their sole purpose is not your health care. Their sole purpose is to make monies for their shareholders and bonuses for their executives. So without further ado, let me go to the first call. Patrick, come on in. I left you. I missed you on the 3:00 call yesterday, Patrick. We had some technical problems. Anyway, talk to me real quick.
That's not a problem at all. If Ray's listening, tell him happy belated birthday from me. And I got to hear what he had to say yesterday, and there's a lot of people that think the way he does. I'd like to point out that I don't really think that way, but the way I do think is I understand why that CEO was killed. But and we're on healthcare this morning, so I'm staying on healthcare. We had a caller yesterday that some people thought were brilliant because they could divide 5,000 into 147 million. That argument was essentially over patents, correct?
Yes.
It was. Okay. So to even have an argument over a patent, it shows that this society is sick. What that man was arguing was that it was more important for somebody to get overpaid for an idea than it was to help people and to save people's lives. Patents keep innovation behind, and that can't be argued. You can't tell me that when somebody comes up with an idea or a chemical, that keeping it out of other people's hands for 10 years or longer,
17.
They can't study it. Okay, 17. So we're going to keep an idea or a chemical out of somebody's hands for 17 years that can be using it on something else. They can add or take away from that molecule, make mirrors of that molecule to do other things and save other people's lives. What that caller was essentially saying was the ranches and the second and third homes that these people are buying with that money is more important than the health and well-being of society in general. And when he comes back and he says, well, patents drive innovation. No, they don't. And we had more innovation before patents than we did after. Patents are just another way to take money from the poor and consolidate it amongst a few people. And so the fact that he even wanted to argue it, I'll let you interrupt in a second. The fact that he even wanted to argue that shows he's a sick individual and that a lot of us are sick.
I am so glad you said that, Patrick, because in my book, as I see it, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, I pretty much say that in a chapter on patent law. And I pointed out in that chapter that listen to the things that patents have done. The gene that causes cancer, women cancer, the BCR, I don't remember. All these different things, these different companies attempted to patent, okay, and held up and held up the development of other companies creating drugs for cancer that affects women because they patented. And how the hell do you patent something that nature created? But let me also tell you personally, it has affected my innovation. When I just left corporate America, my first product was going to be a cart program for commerce. Okay. It was going to web designs were just coming into the fold. I started to do HTML and all these other types of programming. And I started to build a product, a cart product. And you know what? The great billionaire today, El Señor Bezos, you know what he patented, sir? One click. And that is what I was actually building my product on. One click. You click one thing, you can go order your stuff, etc. That denied me the ability to build one click. And I'm just talking about myself here. That means there are thousands of other programmers who had the same idea and couldn't bring a product to market because Jeff Bezos patented one click and he got ahead of the market on everybody else. And what did it do? It did to him? It made him the billionaire. Right? So, I mean, there are so many instances like that. That's why I wrote this particular chapter in a class warfare type book, right? To point out that it is the structures that we have in America that creates the income inequality and the wealth disparity. They make sure that those who have capital, those who can run and write a patent to hold on to it and stop other people from competing, that is why we have what we have. And they do the same thing in healthcare. And that's one of the reasons healthcare does not belong in the private market. And it's so sad. Anything else before I jump to John and Patrick?
Yeah, and that sounds kind of strange since capitalism thrives on competition. Well, I wanted to bring up Thanksgiving in the Philippines for Brian. The United States is a colonizing entity or country, and so we spread and force our celebrations onto other countries. That's why Philippines celebrates it. And then to Bart, I'd like to tell him Happy Kwanzaa and Happy Holiday. And I'm curious, which of the seven saviors that were born of a virgin and rose 3 days after being killed is he celebrating? Because there's seven of them.
Oh boy, thank you for. I mean, I'm you know something. You always have some knowledge to bring to our program. Thank you so kindly, Patrick, and you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you at 3. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
A theoretical, belated Happy Holiday Turkey Day. Happy Turkey Day to Patrick, and an early Happy Holidays to Patrick for the upcoming Xmas holiday. So, as a public service to our fellow time travelers who are changing their radiator fluid in their vehicles this week, remember, guys, because that ethylene glycol tastes sweet, not only to us, it tastes sweet to your dogs. Please, if you have a spill on the garage floor, please clean that up because it'll kill them. They'll drink that fluid up and they'll be dead.
Yes.
If you want to have a really happy holiday, be sure to clean that puddle up so your pooch don't become a puddle. You know what I liked? What Captain Reynolds rap opened up with. He said they had the media should watch out how they treat this guy. He's right for a variety of reasons. Because for all we know, that guy could be an outraged Brian. It doesn't have to necessarily be an outraged Johnny. Don't forget, outrage goes across the board. They don't have they don't have a monopoly on outrage. We have two, but it could have been a right winger, just like it was two right wingers that took a pot shot at Donald Trump. So
yeah,
there's that.
But you know what, Johnny? Though I just want to add that and I want to build on Howard, and Howard can correct me if I'm seeing wrong. I don't even think Howard was thinking about this guy as in either right wing or left wing. I think Howard was pretty much saying this guy may be, the system may have just done him wrong. And the truth of the matter is, he's just, maybe my wife got denied by the insurance company and she died. I don't know. We don't know that. We're speculating, right? And when we speculate, we admit that we speculate, but we can actually go ahead, Howard.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't know why he did this.
Right.
But we do know that this kind of thing is going to start happening a little bit more and more as we have more guns and more people who are frustrated with things. Mm-hmm. If you remember back some time, there was a man who flew his airplane into an IRS office.
In Austin, yep.
Austin, if you remember that. So this kind of stuff happens when people get boxed in.
Yeah.
Oh, I can relate to the Cessna. I've fantasized about renting a Cessna and plowing to Rick Perry's bedroom at the mansion when he was in the governor's office, so I can relate. And I'm no right winger.
Well, right. I mean, it spans across all political theologies. Let me add one thing to
your speculation, or you're saying how we should not speculate. It's human nature to speculate, and I will push back a little bit on what you're saying in terms of what we don't know. I think the circumstantial evidence right now, from what we have, is fairly strong to say that this guy was justifiably angry. How do we know? Those bullet casings have inscriptions on them. It wasn't no love letter to the CEO. It was telling him, hey.
I wasn't disputing you at all. Let me tell you, I wasn't disputing that from you. The reason I said right now for sure it's only speculation, because let me give you an alternative statement, okay? And that could be, and again, speculation, guys, speculation only. This is nothing in fact. But theoretically speaking, or not speculatively speaking, this could be a wife put a hit on her husband and make it look like it's a disgruntled insurance person. So there are a lot of things people could look at, So, I mean, I'm just saying. But I think it's more likely what all three of us believe, okay? I honestly think it's more likely what all three of us believe. But the other thing that should make you concerned is like, man, the guy had a silent silencer. Is that a professional hit or not? So I am all over the place on that. But I eventually come back to where you are, Johnny, where Howard is. Anyway, continue, Johnny.
Here's my speculation on you, Egberto, and then I have one other point. I think if you ever decide that you can't do this advocacy on the radio anymore, you could start writing novels, murder mystery novels.
You know what? Is so funny, Johnny? I hate doing. I only read technical or new stuff. I'm such a nerd. You'd not imagine, sir.
Well, now it's time for you to expand your repertoire and expand. And finally, before I hang up, to expand on Captain Reynolds' rap. Remember, he was saying how the long arm of the law will catch up to you.
Yes.
Not if you're Donald Trump or Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, Kevin McCarthy, Steve Scalise, Scott Perry, Mo Brooks, Jim Jordan, Marlboro Mouth, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Grassley, Lindsey Graham. You get the drift if you're Republican.
Oh my God! And that is what's so hurtful, because those. I tell you something.
If you are a Republican Party politician.
Sorry for interrupting you, Johnny. I got to go, Johnny. But before I go, I want to say this. Check this out. I want you to go ahead and list all those people that you list and find the commonality. We'll talk tomorrow about the commonality, okay?
They're Republicans, and they're selfish.
Take care, brother. We'll speak tomorrow. Thank you for calling in. Always have something interesting to say. Let's go to Brother Paul. Come on in, Brother Paul.
Hey, I just have a comment. I usually, this is the first time I call, but when you guys brought up patents, it just seems blatantly wrong in my mind.
Okay.
Because property ownership is one of the foundations of our country, and secure property ownership is one of the things that differentiates Western countries and their economies from other countries.
I am so happy you said that, sir. I'm so happy you brought that up. But let me finish your statement so I can ask you a couple questions.
Well, that's essentially what I was saying. I mean, I find myself being uber liberal on most things, but that just really kind of caught me in a wrong way.
All right, let me go ahead and talk a little bit about patents, right? I also thought about one click. Bezos thought about one click, and there's nothing special about me who thought about. I'm a programmer. I know about carts, and I thought about it. And when I did my patent search, I realized that it was already patented. I wasn't going to patent it. I just wanted to make sure I could do it. And I couldn't. Jeff Bezos didn't have $1 billion idea. He just monopolized on an idea. Is that right or wrong?
That's right. I mean, if you have the wherewithal and the ability to do it, you should. I mean,
but the patent, that's what I'm saying, my brother. The patent law prevents me from being able to compete in that market.
I don't.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So you disagree with that, correct? You're on my side there, correct?
I agree that what I'm saying, and I don't know if this is exactly what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that I think that the copyright gives you the right to own whatever you copyrighted.
All right, but it shouldn't stop somebody else. Again, let's say you came up with a way to stop a train. You create a brake system, and I also thought about that same process. Shouldn't both of us, because it's both our ideas independently, be able to profit from that? Instead of having patent law where a patent law says it prevents somebody else from doing something they copied from you, shouldn't they try to verify that it wasn't a copy, that you came up with the idea independently? And if that's the case, you should be able to do it as well.
That's correct, and I believe that's the way it works. I mean, thank you, Paul, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's not the way it works. The way it works is whoever filed the patent and gets the patent, they have sole propriety over that, and in the case of drugs, for 17 years. That's all I'm saying. Right. I get it. I get what you're saying. But if you were to apply for a patent at the same time that Bezos applied for a patent, you guys would have been in court fighting over whose patent is
right.
patent.
Right.
But that didn't happen because one of you filed, one of you did.
But what I'm saying is only one of us would have it. Is all I'm saying. And what I'm saying is that's why Johnny talks about the patent law being. I'm not Johnny. Patrick spoke about the patent law that's stopping innovation, because what it does is it prevents people from. I mean, first of all, it increases the prices for everybody because somebody gets a monopoly on these things, right? And as opposed to if there are several people who actually develop this stuff, why not let them both have the marketplace? And that's what he meant by, and I don't think, listening to you're a fair guy. It doesn't seem to me like we disagree on that.
Yeah, so if I design something and it's particular and it's valuable and I patent it, I don't mind if someone pays me a royalty and also uses that design, or if someone even alters it and improves on it, hey, that's fine.
But what I'm saying, suppose somebody I
want to own it.
But Paul, I'm saying your idea may not be the sole purpose in your mind, right? I mean, I could have the same idea that you have, but you patented it and I didn't. Shouldn't I be able to profit on that as well because it was my original idea as well?
No, because
why not? Okay, but what? So so you're saying? Let me get. Hold on a second. Let me get this right. So you're saying that our capitalist system puts a false way for someone to profit from something that many people think about. That's what you're agreeing with.
I am, and the reason I'm agreeing with it in this case, and this is one of the few cases I would agree with it in, is because we have a rule and we have laws, and if we don't follow them and create a structure that people can rely on, and in the case that you're talking about, you could not rely on a structure where anybody could do anything they wanted because it's out there.
Okay, but what I'm saying, no, I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, you said it's the law, but it's a law because we wrote the law that way, right? It's the law because that's how we wrote it. But suppose we wanted to get honest and realize that many people can have the same idea. And if those are original ideas, those people should be able to profit from their original idea. You are saying, I am stopping you from profiting from your original idea because somebody else had the capital, somebody had the finances to patent it, while you may not have had that to patent it, even though you had the same idea. Do you see the unfairness in that?
I do. I definitely do, and I don't think everything is fair in our society.
But can it? But my question is this: Hold on, Paul. Because we're getting somewhere here. You agree that it's unfair, and you agree that it's a law that we have to follow the law. Don't you then agree that if the law is unfair, we could make the law fair?
Yeah, but in this case, I don't know how you do that.
Let's do it. Let's say you said the people would have fought it out in court, right? So could we fight out in court that, well, we don't have any evidence to show that person A got the idea from person B? We could actually have that, just like we litigate everything else in this country. Couldn't we go ahead and litigate that as well? And that gives us a modicum of fairness.
I don't disagree with that, and that happens all the time with songs and singers.
But it doesn't happen with it happens with copyrights a lot of times. Like, when the person said this James Brown song was, or I think it was somebody, I don't remember which song it was. But so look, what I'm saying, I don't see. I look at your heart and I see the right thing, right? But I think we have to get away from the laws that was created by others for ulterior motives, right? And somehow think it's etched by God. Because we have to remember that laws are not divine. We created it, and all of us that create these laws many times have these biases why we create them. Some of the biases are not very good or not benevolent. So that's all I'm saying, to consider thinking about that. But look, that was an entertaining call, Paul, because I think our audience gets a chance to see the thought process there. But anything else before I jump? Patrick wants to respond real quick. So stay on, Paul. I'm going to let Patrick respond. Have sort of a community conversation here. Patrick, come in with a quick response. Oh, I didn't want to drop Paul, but that's okay. Come on in, Patrick.
Oh, yeah. I was excited that he was going to stay on. I wanted to respectfully ask him if he thinks that the protection of property is more valuable than the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, because those two can conflict.
You know what? Patrick, if you listen to Paul, I think Paul was getting there, because what happens in our society, right, is we have laws defined, and you would hear Republicans talk about we are law and order, right? And that's what they really feel. And I don't disagree with them necessarily on the law and order thing if the law is just. But we have a lot of laws that are not just. And the patent law is one of those that are not just. And where I think we need to get people is to the point where they see if a law is not just, we actually have the ability to correct it. That's what I'm saying. Anything else, Patrick? This is your second.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if Paul had continued the conversation for a while, he would realize that life is more important than property.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's exactly what we're arguing.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think Paul is getting there, right? A lot of times what happened is how we were indoctrinated. Remember that, Patrick? We were indoctrinated. And it's how do we remove the indoctrination for that pursuit of liberty, happiness that you spoke about. But Patrick, my phones are full and I'm running out of time, so I got to go.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, brother. Let's go to Eddie. I don't think I've ever heard from Eddie. Come on in, Eddie.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, we talked the other day about the Donald Trump getting elected.
Oh, yeah. Talk to me.
This is a good conversation about patents, because I'm trying to understand how it's fair if I have an idea and you have an idea. How do we prove who had the idea first?
I don't even know if that's a real question, but I respect the question, right? But let's say you have the idea yesterday and I have the idea a year later, but my idea had nothing to do with your idea, right? I am denied my thoughts, my process, because of a false structure that says we need to have innovate. For us to have innovation and people investing in products, we need to create a patent system that give people the ability to hold on to that idea solely so they can profit. That's a false thing, because by me having an idea independent of you already proves that innovation happens and that we don't need a patent system for innovation. You see what I'm saying, Eddie?
Let me word it a little bit different. So let's say in that situation, I come up with an idea today. You come up with the idea a year from now. How do you show me that you didn't just look up my patent and say, this was my idea. This was my idea today. I thought of it all by myself. I should deserve to profit off this idea as well.
I don't, let me tell you, that may be above my pay grade, right? But there are a lot of things we have to prove in court, right? And there are things called like the preponderance of evidence and all that kind of stuff. Had this stuff been on the market? Had you seen it? I mean, there's a whole lot of ways that we can try to prove it, but I think we have to err on the side of the person who, we have, if it's in big circulation, yes, okay? But I mean, again, there's a lot of independent thought. I can tell you that when I came up with the idea of one click, Bezos didn't even have one click on per se on the website. I mean,
maybe he did.
But what I'm saying, when I came up with one click, it wasn't something that other people saw. I didn't even know about Bezos, to put it bluntly. Okay. I didn't even know about anybody named Bezos with that book thing that he had. So what I'm saying is the patent system is completely unfair. And I mean, I think it's hard to not say that, it is something that stifles innovations and take away the livelihood of many smart people in this country. It's just
take livelihood from, if I spend a year in development and I put out cash and eventually this idea flops, I'm out all that money.
But that applies to the other person who thought of the idea too, right? That's why, the free market is just that, a free market that where you fail and succeed. And for the government with a law to give you a benefit that, to put you above somebody else, it's not right. That's all I'm saying. And, you think about it. If you're sitting down in Timbuktu and you come up with an idea, just the same way this other person could invest and lose, that other person that's developing it can invest and lose too. There could be two people working and investing money in the same idea, independent of each other. You are picking and you're saying this guy gets to it first and that makes him a winner. I'm sorry. That is arcane. That's all I'm saying, Eddie. It's not a fair system.
I don't believe that method of thinking at all. I think if we come up with something, we should be rewarded, and that patent is proof that this is my idea.
But what about the other person that had the same idea?
Yeah, just real quick, so that's my proof that I came up with it. I did that.
But
if somebody
my brother, but somebody could have done the same thing as proof. I mean, they could have their lab set up and all of that as proof. And you just happen to file before them.
Proof. That's my proof, is I have the patent which shows.
But somebody else could have been developing that as well. Don't you agree with that?
No, or that person could have looked at my patent and seen, oh wow,
but I'm saying before you filed your patent, somebody else could have been doing that, right? Yes or no?
Yes, they could have.
And that's my point. So your patent, that stuff, when you say, well, I invested all of this to develop this, another person could have been doing that and you just happen to file your patent first. It's not fair. All we need to accept is that it's not fair. How we resolve it, that we can argue about. But saying it's not fair is all I'm trying to get out of you, that it's not fair. If I develop something at the same time, go ahead.
Maybe you don't have the courage to outlay the money that it costs.
No, sir, that's not. I'm saying all else being equal, That's all I'm trying to get you to talk about. All else being equal, and somebody just beats me to filing a patent. Is that person's idea solely?
Yes, it's
all
fair.
right, thank you, Eddie. Okay, Eddie, thank you. I mean, I'm not going to change your mind. But thank you very much for calling, my brother. But again, the patent system is a patently bad system, as Patrick has said, and many of us. I've written about it and did a lot of investigation on it, not only in how it affects farmers, but many other issues. But thank you, brother. I mean, anything else you want to say real quick, because I got full lines.
I absolutely enjoy the discussion. Thanks, man.
Thank you, brother. You have a great day. All right, let's go to Betty. I know Betty's going to be quick. Betty, real quick for me.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to ask you about was Agent Orange, and when it was used in Panama.
In Vietnam.
Yeah, when it was used in Panama. That guy, what year was that? Do you have
it? It was in the 60s, early 70s that napalm was used in Vietnam, not Panama.
No, we had the Agent Orange used in Panama also. The same guy that.
Okay, I didn't know that. You're teaching me something.
Yeah, he's the same. The guy that created the Agent Orange. He also has the cancer treatment we use today for chemo.
Okay.
So anyway, that's something maybe And on the other hand, the guy with the insurance company would pay so much to him. He was just asked what was due and promised to him in the worst time of his life.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Betty. You stay sweet, beautiful. Let's go to Jimmy. Come on in, Jimmy.
Egberto, I love my Medicare Advantage. I have it with United Healthcare, the same one that the CEO was killed. They have 140,000 employees, and I pay nothing for my health care. I believe it's paid for by the state retirement system, so I pay nothing, and I have zero copays when I visit doctors or hospitals. So I love my Medicare Advantage. I see nothing negative about it now at all.
Okay, let me ask you one thing though, Jimmy. You know, you're my buddy, you're my friend, and this isn't on you. This is on the system itself. If you're getting that great coverage at the expense of others, do you see a problem with it?
Well, no, I know the government puts more money into it than they do into regular Medicare, so that's how we are. We don't have any co-pays like you do with regular Medicare, so we get it free basically.
But
anyway, I know one more little topic.
No. But before you said that, I need to tell the audience something about my brother Jimmy here, and Jimmy can kind of speak this way because Jimmy is I think I can say it's fairly in upper age, but he takes very good care of himself, and he requires very little health care because he eats right, he does everything right, he exercises, all of that. But he doesn't represent most Americans. Jimmy's a special guy. All right, finish up, Jimmy.
Also, no smoking and no drinking. But the other topic is Kamala got 7 million less votes than Biden got 4 years before.
Yes.
Why do you think that happened? I don't understand that at all.
Two things. First of all, very poor management of her resources. We have to be clear about this. Had Kamala invested that money in private, in localized media like Donald Trump invested his $300 million, she had $1.2 billion. She would have been able to get a whole lot more people out. Look, but do not remove sexism and racism out of the equation. Even as bad as she spent that $1.2 billion, she would have still won absent those two factors. But you are absolutely correct. Getting 7 million votes less than Biden, even though a lot of that also has to do with it was a pandemic and a lot of people got a chance to vote by mail, so they didn't have to get up out of their chair to vote. But again, 7 million is a huge number, Jimmy. So you're right about that. A lot of that is mismanagement. And Jimmy, I got to go because I got 3 callers and just 4 minutes to do it in. Okay.
Thank you, Egberto. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, brother. Peace. Let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce, real quick.
Yeah, I hope you're doing well. when I was listening to the thing about patents, it reminded me of something from high school. And I graduated in 1972, so I'm old. We had a guy visit us. Everybody met in the auditorium, and he did one of those science displays. And one thing he did was he took a flashlight and he ran a little toy car around the stage. And he told us, he said, ideas like this come up all the time, and the oil companies buy them up, throw them in a safe. So I thought I'd bring that up. And the other thing is Tesla came up with the idea for radio before Marconi, but he wasn't a businessman. He was an inventor. And Marconi was from a wealthy family looking for something to hang his name on. And so Marconi is in the history books now, not Tesla, when it comes to radio. That's all I got. Bye.
Bruce, I love you, man. And let me tell you why. These are the things that, that when you find out how the system really worked and what it has done, makes a difference, and it starts to change people's minds as far as what's fair and what isn't. So thank you so kindly for that, Bruce. Let's go to Augie. Augie, real quick, my dear brother.
Yeah, good morning. Well, it's like you're trying to tell these people, just because it's a law doesn't mean it's right or just. Just look at the abortion laws that the Republicans are pushing. And George W., when he was a governor, the last 2 weeks, he pushed these, what they call midnight laws. Against the people of Texas. One of the laws was the right to be fired for no reason at all. And people think it's the same thing as the right to work. No, it's two different laws. And a friend of mine got fired because one of his bosses didn't like him. So he accused him falsely of doing something wrong. And he lost, but the AT&T company had a whole table full of lawyers. He only had one lawyer. And that lawyer was not expert in that area, so he lost. And the same thing with when we had landlines and we came up with voicemail and speed calling. It was an individual that came up with those ideas, not the corporate AT&T. And but they sued him, the guy who came up with the ideas, and took over and in court they won. Yeah. It was their property. But it wasn't their property. It was this guy's idea.
Exactly. Augie, you're so right. I got to go to Brian, but Augie, that is so right. The patent system is one of the unfair things. That's why I wrote about it, and it's in my book. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right wing. It's a fraud. But anyway, buddy, we talk about it tomorrow or any day you call back in. I got to go to Brian. Got to give him a minute. Thank you, Augie. Let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Okay, well, I guess it's well known that you're for the little guy. You constantly say that billionaires are making money off the backs of others.
Absolutely. Okay? So that's a statement of fact, by the way.
Thanks for cutting me off and giving Augie so many minutes. Thanks for cutting me off again, a new record. Anyway, now, there is an illegal aliens all over the place selling flowers. Where did they get the flowers? Exploitation, right? They bring them across the country. Set them on a street corner. Who buys them flowers? Who makes a profit off that woman's back? Did she buy them or stuff? As far as working for a billionaire, what would you do for yourself if you didn't have his job? Would you make candles and sell them on the street corner somewhere? You should be happy that someone has taken venture capital and made themselves profitable enough to pay you a resource. It's called money.
No, actually, that's called the slave mentality. Your definition was there is an enslaved mind. That's all that is, because you think it is somebody who has capital that has the wherewithal to make things happen. That is a slave mentality. That is putting more value onto the capitalist. That you completely misconstrued the person who sold the flowers. The little guy who sell the flowers, sometimes they grow it, sometimes they go buy it from another little guy who has flowers. The person who goes ahead and make the candles, sometimes they go get the wax from the little guy. I am sorry, Brian. I know where you're thinking from. I know how that thought process came about. It was inculcated in one's mind. It's something that we have to get rid of if we as a people are going to really believe that we are empowered. Because we are empowered, we choose to deny that power and cede it to those with capital. I got to go. Brian, thank you so kindly. Let's go to Howard. Howard, my brother.
Hello there, Egberto. Hello from the studio. Well, Brian always brings an interesting point to the table. right or wrong. He always does. And we're glad that he calls in. I hear
Absolutely.
him on you talk also. I hear him when you talk also. So he does talk to Michael. Jack, what you got before we close out here?
Well, another thing on the Medicare Advantage is that their wellness visits. They come to your home and they look at you and you might ask you if you're depressed or having problems, but they're going to start treatment on everything that they see is wrong with you to draw more money.
Thank you.
Yeah, I always tell them I'm depressed too, but I work here. That's why.
But Jack brings up such an important point. Anytime a doctor puts his face in your door at the hospital, when they come to all of that those are all things that are done to maximize the profits that these guys make. That is the reason you don't want healthcare in the for-profit domain. Anyway, folks, love you all, my callers, my listeners, my supporters for Politics Done Right and KPFT. Look, guys, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter is where all the show is that we didn't cover. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you need to get me a piece of mail, KPFT@politicsdoneright.com. KPFT@politicsdoneright.com. I answer all my emails. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.